how much concern should there be that Josh McDaniels will be one and done here in New England? And I just want to say this. I love New England, man. I am a New Englander, born and raised, and I understand the paranoia and the concern. And I tweeted earlier this week that I had the Patriots winning 9 games this year, and it was a good time to appreciate what they've done with this crazy turnaround at 9 wins already through 11 weeks. And I said, ceiling wise, I think they could win 11 games. I said that before the season. And the ceiling was if Drake May made a huge leap and they stayed healthy, they could go 11-6 with this schedule. And I had posted, it looks like they got a good shot. They got a great shot at 11 plus wins. And of course, I had a couple people come back and be like, great shot. They have 9 wins and look at the schedule. They should have 11 by the bye. And my explanation was, I'm from New England. I don't take anything for granted. Okay. So I understand Murphy's question, but there's more of this happening, Greg, over the past couple of weeks where people are starting to freak out a little bit, man. Josh McDaniels, is he going to leave? Is this going to be a one and done situation? Bedard, what do you think?
No, this is not going to be a one and done situation. Now, am I 100% on that? No, it only takes one team and one crazy owner, and there are plenty of crazy owners in this league. And he also Murphy put in his question about factoring in the continued talk in some circles if Vrabel doesn't want McDaniels anyway. Don't listen to these people. Okay,
hold on. Where's that come from? Where's that? Felger
and Mass.
I did not include this in the question because it's such shit. It's shit that we threw out in the toilet and flushed before the season kicked off. Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels were linked in December of last year, before Gerard Mayo was fired, before Mike Vrabel interviewed, before Mike Vrabel got the job, before Josh McDaniels got hired as the OC. Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels had been linked. Albert Breer, I said this too many times. Albert Breer was on radio in Chicago when the Chicago Bears fired Matt Eberflus after the memorable holy shit. He did not call a timeout during Thanksgiving while millions of people watched. Eberflus was shot to the sun by Chicago. Chicago knew they were looking for a new coach. Burt went on Chicago. I think it was Chicago 1000, the ESPN station. And Burt at that time, weeks before the end of the year, at that time said, Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels. This is not a Robert Kraft production. So, Murphy, I know you're not saying that, but don't even speak it. Don't even bring it up. It's dead. It's over with. Why are we concerned about this? They're 9-2. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, so I would just say the only way that Murphy scenario comes out. First of all, this is a guy who didn't last past like the midway point in both of his jobs, and there was discussions about disgruntlement in the locker room and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The only way it happens, I do think that there's a lot of circumstances that happen in Vegas, but the only way this happens, and say you do get some owner who's like, I know Mark Davis personally, and like they know a lot of things that went on in the Raiders and it was a disaster. Like if they called up Dave Ziegler, for example, who was Josh's GM, and Ziegler got the job first and then hired his buddy. They were both here in New England. Like Ziegler would basically tell you that Josh had no chance in Vegas with Mark Davis, that Mark Davis completely undercut him. Now, if it would take an owner going to guys like, Dave Ziegler, talking to some of the Raiders players to say it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be, like all that stuff, he had no chance. And look at what the Raiders are doing this year when they thought they had everything right. Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and, all this stuff. And they're a dumpster fire as well. But the odds of that happening are very, very long, at least at this point in time. Maybe I would say, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road. And, also there are a lot of family considerations for Josh McDaniels. He's talked about how he doesn't see himself moving out of Westwood and moving his family out of Westwood anytime soon. There are a lot of those things. So I know everybody's worried and everybody wants what's best for Drake and, everything. And I understand that, and they're not wrong, but don't worry about everything. Just go out into the sunshine and realize, the quarterback, the coaching situation that you have here this season, just enjoy it and wait for that stuff after.
It's just so it really is so New England. I love it because I've gone through it myself, like 9-2, and it's like, yeah, but what if McDaniels leaves after the year? And by the way, love Josh. Love Josh as an OC. He's not a good head coach. He's just not a good head coach. I worked in Sacramento during his time in Vegas. I watched every Raiders game. He's not a good head coach. He doesn't make good strategic decisions, especially in close games. Timeout usage. There's a lot of problems. And that's fine. You don't have to be a great head coach. Not everybody can transition from coordinator to head coach and be brilliant. I don't think he's a very good head coach, and he failed at both stops. So I don't know why anybody would go after him in the NFL. And if people say, oh, well, because I heard Bert say this on NBC Sports Boston, well, the job he's done with Drake May. Well, you also have to credit Drake May for some of this too. I mean, it's not like Josh McDaniels is taking a guy who was picked in the 5th round and making him unbelievable. I mean, Drake did, again, have natural talent, and some argued he was the best quarterback in that draft, if not at least the second best quarterback in that draft. So, yeah, it's completely different when you're a head coach and you have to handle a quarterback because you're handling the entire team. And again, in game, I don't think Josh was very strong as a head coach. I really don't. So I don't see it. Maybe college, but I think Josh would probably look at Belichick and Bill O'Brien and go, yeah, I'm not,
He
I'm
doesn't
not,
have.
yeah, I don't see it. He might look at Matt Patricia and be like, all right, well, yeah, if my time is done in New England and I want to still coach, maybe I'll be a coordinator for a top program. But headaches for head coaches in college, man. Oof.
You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this football season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Love the app. It's fast, easy to use. Love sitting down in front of the game like I will tonight. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Josh Allen or Drake Mays, pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all 3 of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.